Yo, let's go. What's up, everybody? Crypto Okie. Let's go. All right, there we go. All right, so today's Sunday, November 23rd, end of the week. But we'll start with the monthly, which has 1 week to go. And we'll start with Monero. Monero's having a great month, which makes it extra special that crypto's having a down month. So it's looking very interesting. Once we get some, we could close this month above the 420. I mean, this could go really higher, or we could get something like, something like this. I don't know where. I wouldn't be surprised if we approach this $800 to $1,000 level early next year sometime. Also, if we take that away, and we do something like this. It's actually beautiful. It's beautiful that we touched this line in May. We're up here again. You could call this, I don't really like, kind of cup and handle, but I mean, you can kind of see the basing rounding. Could call it an ascending triangle. Dating back to this area. Something like that. And any way you slice it, 385, a $385 move puts us, up in that $800 range. So I like Monero to about double in the coming months. So we'll keep an eye on that for sure. Weekly kind of gave it rallied after giving up. Giving up some gains early in the week, and it's really rallied yesterday and today. So that's kind of how we're getting this wick on the bottom, which is good. Earlier this week I didn't like the way it was going, but now it's looking a lot better. I like also that line I just put in there hasn't broken that yet. So maybe next week we'll get something like that. This looks more, cup and handle like, but regardless, it doesn't really matter. I think we can all see that. And then obviously it's above all the moving averages on the weekly, so we got upside to go. Let's just put the moving averages real quick, just so you can see 20 or 30 week right here, 50 week. So we're good here on Monero. Just I'm not a huge fan of the way it moves on the daily time frame, but it kind of tends to do this like it's like the definition of staircase up, elevator down. I mean, that's kind of its MO. And so I find it a little difficult to trade on a daily, because you can kind of see it kind of grinds higher and then bam, it'll shoot down. So we'll see. I mean, this last 2 days has been good after touching the 200-day moving average almost. So there's Monero. And what's even better looking for Monero is the Monero Bitcoin chart. Here we're breaking to new highs. This is one of the best looking charts against Bitcoin for sure, in my opinion. Here, I mean, look at that. We closed last week above, holding above today. And this is from January. This is from, January of 2024. So almost 2 years ago. And this is against Bitcoin. That's hard to do. to beat Bitcoin for 2 years. 2 years. Sometimes you have a spike and you beat it for a year somehow, but to be closing above these levels is pretty significant. I mean, look at that. When it was in 2020, came down to these levels in 2022 again, and then it broke down these levels in end of 23, and now we're getting above it. So I definitely like Monero against the dollar, and even more so against Bitcoin. And I've been reading a little bit about kind of just the recent surge in the privacy sector, and I really think Zcash is mostly based on one or two players, big whale, the Winklevoss whales, and it's not necessarily adoption. It's crazy to see that Zcash is $200 more than Monero when it was a tenth of it just a couple months ago. So Monero's, still kind of king of the privacy coins, I think. I'm not ready to just crown Zcash the privacy coin king after a couple months. So I like Monero. I like that you can't buy it on a lot of exchanges, which means that just not a lot of people have it. So it's a little less liquid, so you can have these crazy spikes or big rallies. You can also have the dumps, but obviously we're in an uptrend, so I like that. I like what's going on here. Let's see. Anything else? All right, let's leave it there with Monero. Go to XRP. So we'll go back to the month. Turn it off. So, I mean, it's definitely been disappointing in the past 3 or 4. I thought in July when we were kind of breaking, we had consolidation at the top. We had a bull flag kind of thing, and then broke higher. And I thought, oh, this is it. We're going to the double digits, and that did not happen. But we have held above this $2 line for a year now, right? It's about to be December. So I like this. I do not want any closes in this range. It could easily, there's a lot of space to come down here. So I don't want any closes of, below $1.90, let's say. I don't know exactly, but I don't want us going into this area at all. You can wick into it. Can't really wick into it anymore because we've already wicked into it. So it's unlikely that it would pop back up. So we are, with 1 week to go, we can easily rally a little higher into maybe a $2.25, and we're kind of okay. Doesn't mean it's imminently going up, but it just means we're okay. I think the ETFs actually launch tomorrow, so let's see what happens with XRP. I know it's disappointing people. I think XRP and Dogecoin are kind of the biggest retail trades going on right now. So, and they've been getting slammed. So maybe retail, that's another thing is like retail tends to, panic buy, panic sell, doesn't matter. But that's kind of why I like some of the cryptos that you can't just get on Coinbase, because retail doesn't have them because it's difficult to get them. So, but on the other hand, it can dump and then it can go up. So let's see what happens with the ETFs this week. Obviously the weekly's terrible, but again, we are, holding these levels. So we'll keep an eye on XRP. Let's go to the daily. So yeah, we just don't know where the bottom will be, but found a bottom in June here in this area, found a bottom. We're higher than the April lows. So that's good. But again, this thing has really fallen off a cliff. We need to regain the $2.75 range to kind of get excited. We need to get back up into this 250 trend line and then somehow break it. So thinking more in 2026, but let's see. The ETFs are here, so let's see what happens here. Let's see what happens. And then I will show you, I think I'm against Bitcoin. It actually has not been doing that bad since the October 10th, October 9th crash. It was October 10th. So it actually has been going up against Bitcoin since that crash, which is kind of unexpected. I wouldn't have thought that. So there that is. Let's go back to, let's continue. Less monthly. And again, a monthly versus Bitcoin is actually also, we're at these kind of holding these highs. So let's see if we can break out. I don't really, we'll just glance at ETH and Bitcoin as we go. Nothing much to see here. I think we will form a ascending triangle and break higher eventually, but I don't know when that's going to happen. Bitcoin, very hard to say. I wonder if we will create some sort of head and shoulders top. So we have the left shoulder over here. We just created the top. I'm curious if the high is in, and we rally in early next year, mid next year. It's looking like, oh, we're back in the 110s, maybe even 120s, or maybe not that high. Some of the other cryptos that are poised to take off do take off, and everybody's excited, and then we kind of get a right shoulder and dump further. I don't know, but I could see that happening. All right, let's go to basic attention token Brave. Was doing a little better today. Monthly, it's a tough one. You can definitely tell that this is the accumulation zone in this 10-cent range. So we are coming up, getting higher. I don't know, this one kind of frustrates me. Sometimes it's good, but also not great. So, we broke this 15-cent level. We're staying above it. Weekly's all right. Let's kind of see what happens here. Daily yesterday was good green candle off this little base. Let's put some moving averages above the daily moving averages, which is great. And then let's just looking at Bitcoin and ETH to show. I mean, this is not good. That's not what you want. I definitely think it'll bounce possibly, but that doesn't really mean much. If it bounces, I would expect more downside or sideways action. But a bounce out of Bitcoin and these assets that are above their moving averages should easily be able to, touch recent highs and possibly go further. So got my eye on this one. Not exactly sure what to do with it. Speaking of frustrating assets, let's go into Litecoin. There's the big Litecoin symmetrical triangle. I still like this for next year. This would be the coin of 2026, I guess. I think they got to have ETFs going soon too. I'm not exactly sure, but and again, the two biggest, my biggest bear case for this is just that we've touched the bottom of this too many times. I don't love that. I would like us to be starting to come up here to break this 130, 135 range, and then we're off to the races. But I don't want to see another wick in the 70s at all. I would think we would crash, and that could be bad. I mean, it could be a fake, crash and then kind of scoop up. Seen that before, but that would be very painful for people. Could happen. Also, let's see if the CMF has changed. I did not like this. I don't like that at all. I really don't like that. I would, I would not expect this to be like this. Um, I would expect us to be more sideways here. So that's kind of the biggest red flag here is the CMF. I mean, here's a bottom, and it kind of kept going up. I mean, it's not necessarily the greatest. Here's where we passed the zero line. See, even when we were dumping back in these 2 months, it was rising, and then kind of going sideways. So this is indicating a dump for me, which I don't like. Weekly, this one's not as bad, but again, bad week, weakness. So we will see how that plays out. Hopefully the ETFs save us. I don't know. And let's look at the moving averages real quick. We're just right in there. So I mean, that's the good thing is, you get a couple good weeks and this thing's off to the races. Bad thing is, it's coming into the apex, as you can see. We get a few more. We get one more bad week, and we're toast. We're in trouble. So let's see. Kind of see what happens. And here again, not great. Below all the moving averages. The 200 has been very straight for a long time, very flat. It really wouldn't take too much to get back up here. Another 20%, and we're good. So I think it definitely looks better in Bitcoin ETH. But is not necessarily looking great against the dollar. All right, let's go into Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash just kind of, I'm liking this a little bit. Again, we have I think more of a descending triangle that looks like it's going to break out higher. So again, decent month, especially coming off the lows. Week, having a good week. We have 10 hours left. It appears that we will get a bullish engulfing candle. So that's great. We do need, and then we'll need follow through. So let's see next week. Let's see if we get above 570 and then can close up in this area. And I would consider that kind of like a little breakout of something of some sorts. It could also so let's see. But definitely next week we get a close above this week's high, and that's bullish for me, assuming this candle ends like this. So I like this one it's just showing relative short-term strength against the markets. We got follow through yesterday on the daily, which was great off of this bullish engulfing candle. So that's what I want to see. Next week, I want to see a candle like this, where we hold the highs, close above the highs, and that would kind of give us that bullish engulfing, and then we have a little bit of confirmation. So that's what I'll be looking for out of Bitcoin Cash next week. Let's just put the moving averages back up. Okay. So again, they're consolidating. We're above some of them, kind of at some of them. So, and we're at the highs. So I can see, which is fine. Consolidation early next week, followed by more upside is the thought there. I think that's all I want to say there. All right, let's go to Verge. This one's the most excited about. Not that could take a while. You never know. But I like it. I also like it because, I mean, if you're looking at market cap on some of these, the size of which is how Zcash was able to go 10, 20x. I mean, the market cap is 123 million, 124 million. The supply is fixed, so that's nice. So, I mean, a 10x gets you to 1 billion. That's not hard at all. That's not hard at all. If you look at, something like Bitcoin Cash, it's at 11 billion. A 10x would be a 10x at a Verge would put it still a tenth of Bitcoin Cash. So it has some upside, I think. Litecoin's is 6 billion, so Litecoin's about half Bitcoin Cash. So that's another reason why it could really go higher. Just it's illiquid. I think Binance is really the only place I've seen it on. So again, it's retail's not really in it because retail's pretty much has to be on Coinbase. I mean, Binance is the world retail, but just they can move different. If you kind of look at most of the cryptos listed on Coinbase, they have very similar structures. I can go to those charts. I mean, they kind of look like Bitcoin, ETH, Litecoin, and they look pretty tough. So it's a different market. It's interesting. I'm not exactly sure what to make of it, but yes, I feel like I've noticed the coins that are not widely listed have actually been doing better. It's kind of like just an opposite of what has kind of happened. It means there's room for growth. I mean, XRP was delisted, relisted right before its kind of pump. Oh, a year before that, but that kind of made it kind of go up, I think, in my opinion. So here's the monthly. I want to see a monthly close above a cent. If we close right here, we'll have an inside candle, which would, again, 1 cent would kick off that to the upside, which would kick up, which then, a close in December above that 1 cent level would also mean we're breaking out of this huge descending symmetrical triangle type action. So that's from December. So yeah, I mean, December 2017, that'll be 8 years next month. 8 years. An 8-year trend line breaking is pretty significant, especially in this kind of pattern. So that's that. Let's look at the weekly. Weekly's all right. Again, want to close. Looks like we're going to be closing right at this kind of level that's been in place for quite some time, and we need a break above higher. So let's just look at sequential, the moving averages. So we're at yeah. So I want to again a close above 0.09 would be great, and then taking out that 1 penny level. And then if we look at the moving averages, we got the moving averages will support us. The 200 is flattening out, so that's pretty nice. Let's see the daily. And again, the daily I like that the moving average is held on these past pullbacks. So let's see if we get higher. But again, the play is above a cent, which about 25% above here. And then I mean we could really go higher. It would not take too much time. Oopsie. So there's Verge, or Dogecoin Dark. Maybe they should brand back into Dogecoin Dark, except Dogecoin's not doing well, so that might not work. But I think that's interesting. Yeah, if we look at those kind of, let's look at Doge. Doge not looking great. As you can see, I mean, that's looking real bad. Again, I feel like when I talk to people, oh, I have, Dogecoin XRP. So yeah, I thought I was like, oh, you know what? I must be wrong. I think, in September it was looking pretty good actually, especially during that month. It was okay, maybe, and then bam. So, but these are like those again. Let's look at like Shiba's looking awful. Wow, that's so crazy. I mean, we're back at lows not seen since 2 years ago. Um, Cake, Cake's actually doing okay compared to some of these. Solana, not looking great. All right, I don't want to look at these. Oh, there's my XLM. XLM, I still have hope for XLM too. I would have hoped we were kind of up in this area and then breaking higher. It kind of looks like Monero's chart, kind of looks like XRP chart. We are holding these gains, so I'm not completely giving up on it, but it's not great. Let's go to the order book and do a quick rundown, see what we're seeing here. So this is Brave. Just a few minutes ago, we were looking pretty good. We got above 20 cents, and then it got bammed down. Wait, let's see. This is Brave against Bitcoin. And we are seeing some selling here, which you hadn't gotten much earlier. So there's that. But what's more importantly, Bitcoin was getting some buying, and then we saw a bounce. Now we're seeing some selling again. ETH Bitcoin seen selling, kind of both sides, honestly. ETH looks a lot like Bitcoin. Litecoin is doing better as far as the order book goes. Against Bitcoin, seeing some buying, and seeing some buying against the dollar, which this Litecoin seems to be really respect this chart. When you see the green buying, we do go higher, and then when you see the red selling, we go lower. So I really like that we're seeing quite a bit of buying here. Now let's just hope that the price reflects it. Just a quick glance at Stellar, still on some of the lists. Not too interesting. Monero is the opposite. I don't trust really much of these charts. And they're very different. They show selling, it goes up. They show buying, it goes down. I mean, sometimes these indicators don't work. It's also a privacy token, so I don't know if there's some stuff with the information that's fed into here. XRP against Bitcoin, we're seeing some selling. It still got up into it, but it looks like it's coming down a little bit now. Against the dollar, again, looks very similar to Bitcoin and ETH. Verge, again, not a little hard to tell. Don't put too much weight into this indicator, but as we saw the green come in, it did kind of pop up. Zcash, uneventful, and Bitcoin Cash, USD, not too much. And so yeah, that's pretty much the end of week rundown. Next week on Sunday, we'll have a weekly close and a monthly close, which I love. Monthly closes are my favorite. So let's keep an eye on like Verge, especially, and Monero. Those will probably just want to keep my eye on those next month. And then, of course, we'll keep an eye on the downside on some of these other ones. But hopefully we can turn the ship around soon. All right, let's go.